This tutorial will show you how to confirm and further customize the practitioner information. You will want to complete customization before you attempt to use the documentation tools. Selecting default documentation information will greatly enhance the speed of the process. And the online travel card, should you choose to use it, absolutely requires extensive customization. Give us a call with any questions. From the admin link, select the practitioners link. If you have an extraordinarily large practice, you may find it easier to use the lookup search tool to find the practitioner. However, most practices will not need to use the lookup. Simply select the practitioner listed below. Confirm or correct the basic practitioner information here. If this practitioner is a billing provider, bills out under their own name for claims, check this box. Confirm the practitioner's national provider ID number here. Confirm the default billing provider. This is just the default. If your practice has multiple billing providers, and this practitioner will bill out under the practice NPI for some claims and their own name for others, or maybe they bill incident to another practitioner, that can be changed on the specific claim. This is just the default. That said, the vast majority of all providers will bill out under the same default billing providers on every claim. Confirm, correct, and add reference numbers as needed. The documentation approval section is rarely used in the vast majority of practices. So much so, we will not bother discussing it in this tutorial. If your practice is one of the few who requires their practitioners' chart notes be internally approved by the chief or head of practitioners, give us a call. Enter the practitioners' phone numbers and email addresses here if you like. The remainder of the practitioner screen is used to set up default documentation preferences for the RCT Documentation Screen, Online Travel Card, and the Diagnosis Code Manager. When the practitioner uses the vertebral palpation editor in the RCT screen, as seen here in the RCT screen, how do they want the system to default the language that describes the palpation, joint dysfunction, subluxation, restriction, or malposition? And for the range of motion editor in the RCT screen, how do they want the range of motion editor to default? Percentages or degrees? Granted, the practitioner can easily change from percentages to degrees with a single click, but it saves them the click. If this practitioner is going to use the online travel card, they can set the system up to remind them of when a patient reevaluation encounter is due. This is optional and only serves as a generic reminder and doesn't actually affect the documentation directly. If this doctor likes to conduct a re-eval at a regular interval, say every 10th visit, 5th visit, etc., use this drop-down box to set it. Or if the doctor prefers to conduct re-evals at irregular instances, such as the 8th, 15th, and 25th visits, simply make those default selections here. The practitioner can select which offering sets they want to see in their treatment and services drop-down list by checking them here. A chiropractor's list will be completely different than that of a massage therapist, for example. As an example, the practitioner wants to have one-click access to document these services on a particular body region, as can be seen here from the RCT screen. When using the RCT screen to document, you use editors on specific regions of the body. You can always drag and drop any editor into one of the body regions. However, this is tedious. There is a better way. You can customize your system to automatically show the blank editors on a selected region during the initial evaluation. Any editors not actually used will automatically disappear once you have saved the documentation. Select the RCT Default Editors arrow to expand. Simply select the editors that you would like to automatically populate in the RCT screen during the initial evaluation. Remember, if you don't use them to document, they automatically disappear, so you don't have to actually use them every time. It'll save you a lot of dragging and dropping. And the ICD-9 Diagnosis Code Manager can be customized by determining which regions and codes they want on their favorites list, as can be seen here in the RCT screen. Select your favorite, most commonly used codes for that selected region. Simply go to the region you want, like the neck, and check the boxes next to each code that you want to populate your list. Remember, You can always come back later on and change your selections. And if the practitioner doesn't want a region to show on their favorites list, they simply don't check a box in that region, and it won't show on the list. Important note here. You'll see that the list contains both the area called neck and an area called cervical. Both lists are identical. Important. Choose just one. Don't select codes from both. When you are selecting your codes, be sure to only select a few. The idea behind the favorites list is just that. Only select your favorites. If you select a huge list, it kind of defeats the purpose. You can always look up the codes that you use less often here. If you are going to use the online travel card to document, you will need to build the labels. Unlike the other documenters that come pre-built, the online travel card comes to you completely blank, ready to be fully customized by the practitioner. As you can see in this example, once opened, you have the ability to add data to each individual section of the modified SOAP note. You can add default selections, which will always be presented for the fastest selection. You will not need to search for these items on the online travel card. A note of caution: if you make too many defaults, your travel card will be extremely long and will require you to scroll up and down excessively. You may want to build a far larger suggested labels list, like the one shown here. By simply typing the word goal, I am presented with all of the planning suggested items with the word goal. And of course, you can always enter in those one-off items by simply directly typing it in the relevant selection. And for each item that you enter, you can determine if you want it to be associated with a checkbox, value box, or a plus and minus icon. These fields are very flexible. Feel free to add items as you continue to get more experienced with the online travel card. Finally, search for and attach this practitioner to the office or offices that they will be operating out of. And do not forget to update any changes to save. I say again, do not forget to update. You may have spent considerable time customizing your practitioner. It would be a shame to lose it now.